So the cyber security side is of real interest to us. There's a lot of work going on in the GSMA Secuirty Group. We deal with the technical side. We coordinate with the standards bodies like 3GPP and ETSI. I have a better relationship with the guy who looks after security at ETSI, because that's me, so I can write to myself there. But 3GPP, we bring in lots of new twists. I took great delight in telling Carsten Knoll that we'd already got round one of his attacks by changing the specification 2 years ago. But of course it's up to people to put these things in. So we deal with the technical side of things, and indeed there are many technical issues that we're looking at. GPRS security, which of course is key for the machine-to-machine market, because that has a lot of ubiquitous coverage and is low power. As I said, it's an old technology. We want people to move to new algorithms. We want people to do all sorts of things on that. Essentially, we have an internet system there, and it's an IP connectivity, which is what LTE is, and we've just added voice to it as well. And so we have all those issues as well. But we are better off in many respects. We have a mobile malware group. The chairman is sitting there in the audience. We have a messaging group. We have a signaling system number 7 group. Many of these legacy systems do cause us issues. Signaling system number 7 security is something people have been talking about for many years. And we have a handset security group that looks after the integrity of the handset and the RPI. But to some extent we are better off in the internet world. I mean, we do have kill switches and Android and Apples, and it is a closed environment and lets people go away and jailbreak. Network integrity is a really big thing. I can go on too much about the integrity, about the technical issues. Of course, a lot of these things about the idiots who either misspecify the systems or people who are actually using them. That's our major issue. But of course there are a lot of technical things you can do. The ISO 27000 series, there's very few operators who actually have proper procedures and policies in place, have to manage things, and as I said, it's very much about connectivity. That seems to be the buzzword at Congress at the moment, that we keep on hearing from people about connected cities, and we just have to go to the keynote to hear about them. And security seems to be added on, and we run an equipment identity register and we share the information. But it's interesting that some people do not take it seriously. There are 3 operators in Europe, for example, who have actually withdrawn from the equipment identity register due to government pressure. For example, if you have your mobile stolen here in Barcelona, it won't be automatically barred in any other country within Europe. So we have a huge number of political issues that we have to find out about. Interestingly enough, they're adopting stolen handset registers using the GSMA database a lot in South America now, so we have a lot of people there doing it. Clearly, we have a whole lot of issues around lawful interception. That's built in our terms of reference. And fraud. Now, we only look after the technical aspects of fraud. We do have a fraud forum, and they have over 100 operators attending that, where they share the latest scams about the huge amount of money that operators can lose and are losing due to fraud. It's a big business. It funds all sorts of other side businesses like drugs and terrorism and crime. As I said, technical fraud is pretty rare. We're starting to see it here and there. Had an interesting case of people effectively cloning mobiles in Moscow. We had to advise them how to run their networks properly so that wouldn't happen. And we produce all these guidance documents for people. But it's really good that the operators get together, and this is one of the really big areas, security and fraud, that is non-competitive between us. And we do stand up and we do share information, because what's going to hit us in one country will hit in the other. And we have all sorts of ways of sharing data between us, and we have systems for doing it. Previously, we had a hot billing system where faxes were sent to each other when you exceeded a certain amount of euros. Now it's all done electronically. And of course everybody of any sophistication is running fraud detection systems exactly like the banking community. People don't realise about the money that can be lost to operators. So here are my final thoughts. Cyber security. I have real challenges putting sticking plaster on existing systems. I have to make things backwards compatible. So, for example, if I want to build in authentication of the network to the mobile for GSM, and indeed that's one of the work topics that's been going on for a number of years, that produces a whole lot of issues as to how we put things in. For example, we put in the specifications increasing randomization of the bits to make breaking the cryptography more difficult. But we can only easily do that from the network to the mobile, not the mobile to the network. Although some mobiles have adopted that. So, for example, if you have a BlackBerry, that actually does that. So it makes it harder. Really, if you start looking at LTE, there really is no difference between what we're doing and what the internet is. It's just an untethered access. And indeed, I've been asked many times how secure is GSM and 3G and LTE. And my advice to anybody who has the slightest bit of wisdom and interest is that you look after yourself, you never trust your security to anybody else, and you have end-to-end security. Lots of things on the horizon: near-field communications, payment systems, location data. Privacy is a really big issue for us on the security side. And finally, the challenges of things like how we detect improved terminals and infrastructure. For example, we run a checking system for IMEI integrity, and 2 operators still cause us 80% of our phones that can have the IMEI changed. And getting them to the party is really difficult.